So if you've got a Bible, you can turn to Isaiah 57. And in Isaiah 57, verse 15, it says this: "For this is what the high and exalted one says, he who lives forever, whose name is holy. I live in a high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite." I'm going to read that again for us, okay? So, "For this is what the high and exalted one says, he who lives forever, whose name is holy. I live in a high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite." And the thought that I want to share today is really simple, and that is that God is a God of the highs and the lows. God is a God of the highs and the lows. On a Thursday night, we run a young adults group. And I don't know if we said this back in September, but we launched a new group. We do a group that's kind of like 25s to 35s. And we recognize that with everything that's happening in Gen Z at the moment, we wanted to create a space for people to connect and grow in faith and community. And we started off in September with maybe 4 people. Our WhatsApp group now is just tipped into 30. And every week we've had consistently maybe about like 12, 13 people that have been coming and just building relationship and building connection. So that's incredible. And it's so good to see and get behind what God's doing. But shout out to Sarah. Sarah's just at the back. Sarah there. Sarah brought an icebreaker to the group on a Thursday night, which has become part of a ritual of the way that we start our Thursday night young adults group. And it's called High Low Buffalo. And so what you do with this icebreaker is you go around and share a high of your week, a low of your week, and a buffalo is just anything random, weird, unexpected, funny that happened in your week. And we've had all sorts of buffaloes. We've had people talking about Christmas trees falling over in posh restaurants, spotting people riding side saddle on a motorcycle, people breaking wind in therapy sessions, people spotting particularly chubby pigeons that they wanted to then mention. So it's a brilliant icebreaker. But more than that, it's actually really healthy to recognize that we do have both highs and lows in our week. So often we're all right with sharing highlights, aren't we? Give us a highlight of your week and try to brush over the lows. But actually, there's been really significant moments, as we've just shared. Actually, this has been a really low point in my week today. This has been a real challenge that I've come across today. And we know that all of us will have highs, lows, and buffaloes in our week. We'll have the highs of success and connection and relationships, and we'll have the lows of disappointment or loneliness or struggle. And especially as we head into Christmas, I think it's a good thing for all of us to remember high, low, buffalo. Because I think what Christmas can be, in particular, is a season where we celebrate the highs and we go after everything being picture perfect. We want that picture perfect, happy, joyful, serene family experience. But it's important to remember that Christmas also will have its low points. So some of us will go into Christmas feeling like this year has been the best thing, everything's as we want it to be. Others will come into Christmas hoping that it passes quickly and wanting to avoid the pain that it will bring, like the pain of loved ones not being here this year, or the pain of dreams still being unfulfilled another year. There will be both highs and lows. And I think Christmas is a time where it really brings it to the forefront, doesn't it? It really exaggerates that. And the beautiful truth of this verse in Isaiah is that whether you're coming into Christmas up here or you're coming into Christmas in a really low point, God is a God of the highs and the lows. And in every season of our life, he's the God of the highs and God of the lows. Just encourage you to, if you can keep Isaiah 57 open, because you can refer to it as well. I'll be jumping into bits. But just to pull up, so it says, for this is what the high and exalted one says. So Isaiah shows that God is a God of the highs. So he said, this is what the high and exalted one says. So God is high and exalted. And one commentator says that what that couple of words means is this. It means that God is high above the earth and the nations of it. He's higher than the kings in it, the King of kings and Lord of lords, and so able to save his people and destroy his and their enemies, who is higher than the heavens and the angels there, who is exalted above the praises of his people, the knowledge of whose being and perfections is too wonderful for them, whose thoughts are higher than theirs, whose love has a height in it not to be reached by them. God is high and exalted, but also Isaiah says that he lives forever. So God is eternal. He's from everlasting to everlasting, the Alpha and Omega, beginning and the end, who was and is to come, the first and the last, beyond space and time. He's high and exalted. He lives forever, and his name is holy. And so this holiness speaks of what we probably go to, like moral perfection. Like God is the standard of what is right, what is good. It's moral purity, but it also means set apart, distinct, in a category of his own. So God being holy means that he can't be rivaled. There's no equal. He has got no category that can contain him. No analogy fully explains him. He is in a category of his own. So when Isaiah says that he's high and exalted, he lives forever, and he's holy, no wonder God then says, I live in a high and holy place. That, I think, makes sense to us. Like, we get that a God who is that would live in a high and holy place. But the shock comes then when that verse continues and God says, I live in a high and holy place, and also with him who is of a contrite and lowly spirit. The one who is contrite and lowly in spirit. God is a God of the highs, and he's a God of the lows. The one who lives in the highest place also resides with those who live in the lowest places. He moves towards those who are broken, who are crushed in spirit. And the word for contrite in the Hebrew is dakor. And it has this picture and this meaning of something being crushed to dust. So completely shattered, beyond repair, absolutely crushed, yet still precious to God. And so that term contrite just embodies it's this physical frailty, but also spiritual humility. And saying God doesn't just reside in the high places, but he also resides there with the utterly broken. That's where he lives. And this is the heart of Christmas, because Jesus is the embodiment of this. The embodiment of this verse, that he lives in a high and holy place, but with those who are contrite and lowly. So Christmas acknowledges the moment where God became human, where the highest came to the lowest, where holiness met humanity, where eternity with a capital E stepped into, became confined within time, where the Creator himself became a creation, where the immortal, where immortality with a capital I became mortal. And the incarnation, Jesus becoming human, embodies this thought that God didn't just remain in the high places, but he came to the lowest of the low. And God didn't come as we'd expect him to come, with power and prestige and celebration, but he came in obscurity, in scandal, in poverty, to identify with, become one of the lowest of the low. And Christmas shows us that Jesus didn't he didn't avoid human experience, and nor did he just observe human experience. But he himself experienced physical limitation. He experienced tiredness, hunger, thirst, temptation, grief, rejection, suffering, betrayal. And not only that, but he bore our sins, our mistakes, our failures, our mess, our pain, our suffering, our weaknesses. He bore them on himself, dying a criminal's death on the cross so that we could be made right with him, so that we could pay the debt. He could pay the debt that we could never pay. He could live the life that we could never have lived so that we could be in right relationship with God. And one of the early church fathers puts it this way. It says that he became what we are, that we might become what he is. And that's a beautiful summary of the incarnation, that the God of the highest would become one of the lowest so that he could lift us up to be seated where he is. That's the miracle and the beauty that is Christmas. So when you watch a nativity this year, when you hear that story, when you read it in the Bible, we can become so blasé about it, so familiar with it. But this concept is one that we will never, ever, with all the study and will in the world, will never be able to fully understand. How the highest of the high became one of the lowest of the low. And that's why Jesus is called Emmanuel. He's God with us. So what does that mean for us this Christmas? What does it mean for you right now in this season? It means that God is with you in your highs. And so if you are coming into Christmas in all of its joy and all of its celebration, it means that God is with you in your joy and your celebration. So include him in your joy and your celebration. Let's not get so caught up in what we're doing that we forget who it is all for. It sounds so cliche, but it's so important, isn't it? Get so lost in everything that happens. But he's with you in your highs and celebrations and the joys. But it also means that he's with you in your lows. He's with you in your pain and your disappointment. So include him in your pain and disappointment. You don't need to try and hide it from him. Like Christmas is this beautiful invitation. Jesus is this beautiful invitation to interact with God as we really are. Not as the person that we'd like to be perceived to be or aspire to be. Christmas and Jesus is this invitation to meet you where you really are. He'll meet you in your pain. He'll meet you in your disappointment. He'll meet you in your anger. He'll meet you in your resentment. He'll meet you in your bitterness. He'll meet you in your addiction. He'll meet you in your weakness. He'll meet you in your sin. That's what he did, and that's what he does. He's God with you, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And band, you can come on up. And my encouragement is that he won't just meet you to be with you, but Isaiah finishes by saying what the purpose of his being with you is. So it says, I live in a high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and to revive the heart of the contrite. And so he's with you to revive you, to nourish you, to strengthen you, to encourage you, to breathe life into you, to restore you, to make you whole. And it's this beautiful picture of like, if that word contrite means to be crushed to dust, then what reviving is God breathing his life into that dust. Like he did at the beginning of creation, he's able to do again for you in Christmas 2025, to breathe life into that dust and bring life from it. He is with you to revive you. So like imagine for a moment what Christmas could look like this year if we really embraced this truth, that we included God in the highs as we celebrate. Imagine the celebration that we would have this Christmas if it wasn't just empty commercialism, but it was a celebration of the reality of the incarnation. Imagine what our joy and celebration would look like, but imagine what your lows would look like this Christmas. if in your grief and in your sorrow and in your pain and your frustration, you allowed the King of Kings to come and revive, to speak, to cry, to come alongside, to restore, to encourage, to strengthen. Imagine that if the freedom that it would bring, that we stop pretending, stop trying to hide our lows and just show our highs, like to be real before God, before others. And imagine the impact that it would have if we as the church embodied this year. If in the context of like what we're talking about today, we weren't just so caught up in our own high places and celebrations, but what if we could include those who are at their lowest? So if God didn't avoid the low places, neither will we as the church. If God went to the outsider, so will we. If God included the lonely, so will we. If God reached out to somebody in their pain, so will we. If God ate with those who were different to him, so will we. Imagine if we could embody that this Christmas, not be so caught up in our high places, but to reach out to those who are struggling, grieving, broken, who are hurting, to include them at our table, because that's what Jesus did for us. So that's my encouragement today, that the high God came low, so that we could be lifted high. It's the beauty of the Christmas story, the beauty of the incarnation. And so this Christmas, we have the incredible opportunity to reflect him in that, reflect his heart in that. And I love that the big give and what we're doing by bringing simple items is just a little bit of his character, a little bit of his heart, that we're remembering those in need, remembering those who are struggling.